Hey y'all there, virtual builders. Thanks for clicking, and let's get to building on a little city block. I'm working over on a creative mode, so this is an empty map, and this location would normally be occupied by a static NPC home. It's just across from the town cave on the OG map. I'll be doing several story buildings that houses shops and a cafe at the ground floor. Attached is another small residence to finish out this corner of the neighborhood. Maybe eventually this whole map will be filled if I can ever find some more time to build in Garden Paws and not be distracted by so many good games that have come out on Steam. And if you like farming, crafting, and other cute games, I have featured plenty on the channel that might be something that you're interested in, so check that out. This build is broken down into several sections, starting with the main storefront, and I'm trying to keep this small, which is difficult to do because I have a tendency to get carried away with builds. But this storefront layout will be 5 foundations across and 2 deep, minus 1. So 9 laid out together in 2 rows with 1 removed from the back end. The window display area to the storefront. To do that, we want to use 2 wooden triangular foundations on either side of a single foundation. This is the final pattern for the ground floor main building. These are totally optional, but I love to add the wooden platforms everywhere to make builds look like they have supported foundations. You could use walls embedded into the ground that are painted with textures to look like stone or wood as well. Maybe go for that dual material vibe. And although you could use a mix of any walls or windows in your build, for this storefront I've chosen to use the glass option and keep it floor to ceiling by lining the front display. On the wooden triangular foundations, 2 glass walls can be overlapped to cover the extra length of the piece. It's not ideal, but it works. And you can even paint these glass walls with the color furniture brushes, but it does make the overlapping seem even a little more obvious. You can always go with 1 glass wall and 1 regular wall, which you'll see an example of on the next floor. Continue filling in your choice for walls, windows, and doors for the ground floor. I've added a wooden porch stairs to the front entrance as well, as it adds a charming look and it works really well with the small builds to give depth. And it should look like this by the time you're done with the first floor shell. To get started on the second floor, we're going to start putting in the rear infrastructure deck that connects the buildings all together. I've gone with some stone stairs here, but there are style options. Then you will start laying down the foundations that wrap around the back of the building and across to create a second floor to put in apartments above our storefront. This is what the second floor layout should look like when you're done. Now we are going to narrow and section down this floor into 2 spaces, both accessible from the outside walkway, accessible from the stairs. One apartment is 2 by 2 for foundation space over the top of the cafe entrance. The other is a slender version of the storefront that we need to line with windows and walls, leaving behind the open walkway. The design should look like this when you're done. The storefront building goes up 1 more floor, fill in the area over the display window, and finish the same pattern along the opposite side to complete a hexagon with another foundation and additional wooden triangular foundations. Then line this completely with walls and windows before we move on to adding something for the roof options. To top off the cafe side, I went with 2 triangular walls and the wooden ramps. The center storefront got a little bit more complicated by using a combination of regular ramps and the corner ramp pieces, topping it off with 1 foundation. However, this ended up not being the look that I was hoping for, so you may have noticed from the intro already that it's already been through a remodel. Now, you could go with the simple version, but I'll cut in some future forward footage to show how the final roof was done, using the small curve ramp along with two wooden triangle foundation pieces that had to be manually rotated into place using the item shifter. And then it was painted repeatedly until I could decide on a final look. This is the core of the neighborhood block structure done. After this, I went around filling in pillars everywhere to trim up the corners and add a load-bearing look to the entire building. Even if we have that magic of Garden Paws where gravity only works on some objects and not others. Starting from the walkway, we build around the second floor of our main structure. We continue that around and forward to create some more interior infrastructure while making a layout for the townhouse. We add a row of 4 connected to the back walkway and then 2 rows of 3 on either side, and we get a design that looks like this. Leaving one foundation gap for the walkway, build in walls that are sunken into the ground to act as a veneer for a foundation to line the outside, and add in some stairs too. It should look kind of like this by the time you're done. With walls, windows, and doors, we fill in a 3x3 foundation box to make our first floor. This leaves walkways connected to a front porch for the townhouse, as this floor is an open-air lounge area in the final build. You may want to highly customize your build interior, so I won't get too detailed into how this was laid out, but to finish this build, we need to go up another floor, enclosing a 3x2 space and leaving another deck space in the front. Connect another foundation to the deck of the second floor and add stairs to wind up the side to create another walkway that spans across the back of that townhouse. Add in a set of floor foundations over that 3x2 and optionally include half foundations for that overhang look. Fill in more walls and windows, capped off with yet a few more foundations for a flat roof. And now it's just time for some good old-fashioned creativity and decorating. Don't forget all the amazing tools that the game gives you with paintbrushes and their textures and so many gardening-related items. And I thought I would read to you this short summary article on a recent study released on Gaming Science. The title: A new study finds even more evidence that gaming can improve overall happiness, by Alex Newhouse of GameSpot. A new scientific study has found significant effects of open-world gaming on people's quality of life and emotional well-being. It also shows that playing games in tandem with watching nostalgia-inducing movies like Studio Ghibli films can have an even bigger effect, indicating that different types of media can interact with each other. Writing in the journal JMRI Serious Games, which focuses on game studies research, a team of scientists present evidence that playing The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild can have a range of positive outcomes. Testing with a sample of postgraduate students, a community famous for its high levels of anxiety, dissatisfaction, and burnout, the authors showed that playing Breath of the Wild on its own can help spark a sense of purpose and meaning. Further, this game helped people feel more calm, more adventurous, and more skillful in their lives outside of game context. Investigating potential interactions between games and watching films, the author also instructed a subset of participants to play Breath of the Wild and watch a clip from Studio Ghibli's My Neighbor Totoro or Kiki's Delivery Service in close succession, theorizing that film clips spark positive senses of nostalgia among participants. The authors find an even stronger effect on overall happiness and life purpose amongst this subset. While this study only includes postgraduate students and can't say much about the longevity of these positive impacts, it represents yet another piece of scientific evidence showing beneficial effects for gaming. For instance, scholars have found encouraging results for games as a tool to help mitigate substance abuse and improve mental health. Games have been shown to induce pro-social activity and improve community building, and evidence suggests that they can even serve to reduce the effects of cognitive disorders. This study comes at a time of intense focus on games and the industry, and renewed calls from politicians to regulate games and game-adjacent spaces. Scientists have long studied the potential dark sides of gaming, from the potential risks from certain fringe gaming communities to the effects of certain types of multiplayer games on social psychology. However, recent proposals to investigate game companies have often reshaped old and unsupported allegations that violent video games directly cause violence. And it's really interesting because I touched on that in my last video about the war on games and arcade paradise and what that has to do with politics and culture. If you're interested in any of that, you might want to check out that video. But with that, I'm going to leave you with a little tour on the outro. Thank you for making it this far in the video. Take care and have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye-bye!